Hi friends, it's Kerrie from Conversations at Kerrie's Korner. How are you on this beautiful, beautiful Thursday in April as we head into Easter week next week? Beautiful spring. Welcome to Conversations at Kerrie's Korner today. I've wanted to do this particular podcast for a while, and I haven't really known how to bring it all together, I guess is the right way to explain it. But today we're going to talk about hate. There's so much of it in our world today on every level of our society. And it's eating away at the fabric of our world. There's good versus evil. There's complacency instead of being involved. We don't want to get involved. There's young people taking their lives because of hate and bullying. What does that say about our society when we have young children, not even into their adult lives where the real challenges can be overwhelming, but at young ages, they're taking their lives because they can't see a way out. And it's all based in hatred and bullying. I started this podcast so people could have a place or give people an idea of coming back together and talking to each other about our differences and our the way we think about things, and encouraging people to listen to each other and respect the fact that we all have differing opinions. I have lifelong friends that have differing opinions. We just choose to avoid those things that are triggers because friendship is more important. Families have people with different ideological viewpoints. And our nation and our world is slowly but surely being devoured by hate. And it's really sad when we look across the world leaders and we see such terrible hate. Hate in conflicts, wars, hate with political opponents, hate in political parties. And it seems to be the driving force behind so many things that we are seeing in our society that are slowly but surely chipping away at our ability to live civilly with each other. And there's always conflict, I get that. It's just the human condition. But here's some really staggering things that I've found when I was thinking about this podcast. And there were, in 20 to 23, 12,000 hate crimes in the United States, involving 13,857 victims. These were people that were going about their normal life, and for whatever reason, whatever the event that sparked this violence. And it's really astounding that the percentages of hate crimes, 52.2% of them are based on race and ethnicity, their ancestry. 22.5 are based on religion. 18.4 were based on sexual orientation. 4.1 were based on gender identity. 1.6 were on disability, and 0.9 were based on gender. How do we fix this? How do we prevent young children who have their entire lives ahead of them? How do we fix this plight on our society? How do we help to ensure that our young people grow into adulthood without hatred and bullying? It's something that we as a society across the world need to address. I don't understand why it has completely exploded in the last 15 years. But I mean, I see it every day. I see it almost every hour when I'm scrolling through social media in the day-to-day functions of my businesses, and I read comments and I see hatred in words between people that don't know each other. And for whatever reason, the person instigates this assault, this verbal assault on somebody they don't know because something that person said triggered hate. It's so destructive. A lot of people think it's because we've gotten away from religion. A lot of people just say that it's good versus evil. But here in the United States, I think a big part of our problem is that our leaders are so full of hate. Hate to just hate because they have differences that they can't come to terms with. And instead of rationally working through their vast differences, they just hate. Verbal hate. We have television shows that are just nothing but hate shows. They don't do anything but hate. That's all they talk about is hate. We have the national news media that's all they talk about is hate. And these entities are not doing anything to turn the tide. They are throwing gasoline on a serious problem. And there doesn't seem to be any accountability for it. How do we fix it? I don't know how we fix it. But as somebody who's been on the other end of that, from people I don't know, because I have the way I think, it's not okay. I'm very vocal on social media about what I believe in. Calling out those people that I think are doing wrong. And when you are in positions of national exposure, whether that be a celebrity, whether that be the President of the United States or a member of Congress or any other entity where you are on the national stage, the world stage, you are subject to criticism. We're all subject to criticism. This is not criticism, though. This is vile hatred because there is a difference of opinion. How did we get away from saying, I don't agree with you. Here's why I don't agree with you. Having a conversation and then agreeing to disagree. We're all not the same, thank God. We all have differing opinions. We all have different thought processes, backgrounds, exposures, but we had the ability to say, you know what, I don't agree with you. I respect your position, but I don't agree with it. When did that leave the building? Think about what hate has done to our world in the last few decades. 9/11, all the lost men and women serving in our military, school shootings, young children murdered senselessly, women being raped, men beating up men, women beating up women, children hating each other, bullying to the point where our young people are taking their lives. This is a serious problem in our world. And I feel like if we don't start to talk about it more, it's just going to eventually take us all down. There's a lot of evil. And evil breeds like a cancer. But humans have the ability to stop it by simply not hating. Why can't we do that? Is it really that important to hate? Is it really that important to insult, degrade, belittle somebody because you think differently than they do? You don't like what they have to say? You don't like the way they have to, why they look? How they look? Why is it okay? As a society, we got to figure this out. We are losing too many people of all ages to hate. And it's sad. I can just tell you in my own experience, I can't go anywhere without my husband, and if I go on a long trip, without the need for me to check in or the need for me to ask my grown children to check in, because I'm fearful of what's going to happen in the world, because it is so unpredictable. And violence seems to be waiting around the corner for all of us. And that's not a good way to live. It's not a good way for our society to grow. It's not a good way for our society to try to fix the problems because we're fearful. I just know that hate is a huge part of every day in the world. You see it in everything. You hear it in everything. And we have young children that are seeing it, that are being bombarded by it. And so when we hear of school shootings, is there really no explanation for why they're doing it? I think it's very obvious, because it's what they see, it's what they hear, and it has become acceptable. Hatred is accepted now. And that's the beginning of the end, in my opinion. We are not in a position, any of us, to judge. We don't have that right or that power. And whatever you believe, maybe you need to reevaluate what those messages are, because we seem to have lost our way. And it's a very sad, sad thing to get out and hear that another 11-year-old just has no choice but to take their own life. And it's happening every day from bullying and hatred in our schools. Our children are a reflection of what the adults in the world do. They learn from what they see, from what they hear, and from what they experience. We've got to do a better example as adults for our children's sake as they grow up in those influential years. Hatred is never the answer. It is the gasoline on the bomb that has exploded in our world. Hate is the one thing that can take us all down. Share this message if you believe in this, or if I've said something that has struck a chord with you. Because the only way that we're going to turn this around as a human race is to work with each other, not hate each other, listen to each other, come back to the table and talk to each other respectfully, listening and respecting somebody else's opinion. We used to be able to do that. It seems a lost art in the world today, in all of our societies, except those societies that are not exposed. You know, you watch these National Geographic and you see these civilizations that are not exposed to the modern world. They don't have young children taking their lives. What does that tell us? Tells us all we need to know, right? Conversations at Kerrie's Korner is all about bringing us all back to the middle, talking to each other, listening, respecting each other's opinions, and trying to figure out a way that we can come back together to work out our problems civilly, calmly, rationally. There's always going to be some sort of faction where there's conflict. But we've got to figure out a way to eliminate the daily flood of hate that we see across our societies. Didn't used to be this way. How come? I'd love to know if you have thoughts on why. I think there's a lot of reasons why, but I think just failing to listen and respect each other's humanity is a big part of it. We're all different, thank God. We all got to respect the fact that we're all different. I think that's what we've lost. And hate has taken over. Think about it if you would. Let's spread the message to try to stop hate. Come back to the table, listen and talk to each other. That's what Kerrie's Korner is all about. We can do it. We just gotta want to do it. Conversations at Kerrie's Korner. I try to do 2 a week. This is the first one this week. I've been thinking about it all week. And seeing these stats today is what really triggered me to finally do this podcast. We can't have these statistics of hate anymore. We've got to figure out a way as a human race to try to eradicate as much hate as we can. We're never going to get rid of it all. But right now it is a cancerous plague that is devouring all of us. We're better than that. God bless you on this Thursday, springtime here in the United States. I hope wherever you are, you're having a blessed day. When's the last time you picked up the phone just to let somebody else know they're appreciated? It takes 5 seconds to say, hi, I just wanted to see how you were doing. Let you know you were appreciated. That's the first step. This is my hello, how are you doing? And you know what? You are appreciated. So have a wonderful, blessed day wherever you are. Join me twice a week at Conversations at Kerrie's Korner, where really the whole premise behind my podcast is to bring people back to the middle, talk to each other respectfully, listen to the other point of view, because you just never know. You could come away with a different perspective if we're just willing to meet in the middle and listen to each other. That's how we start to eliminate so much hate in our world. I think we're all worth it, aren't we? God bless you on this beautiful Thursday, and we'll see you next time. This is Kerrie at Conversations at Kerrie's Korner. Take care.